Well, one of those ongoing debates is back in the headlines. Should parents be allowed to smack their children? Queensland is reviewing their laws, with 100 health and welfare experts putting forward a submission calling for corporal punishment to be outlawed. Here's the latest from 7 News.
Currently, laws provide a key defence against assault charges when striking kids, allowing for reasonable corporal punishment. But experts want that defence scrapped, saying children deserve to have the same protections against assault as adults or pets.
So let's get an expert's view. Let's catch up with child and adolescent psychologist Clare Rowe again. Good to talk to you, Clare. Is this a worry? Is corporal punishment a worry with kids?
Well, I mean, I suppose it is when it's corporal punishment and abuse, but physical abuse of children is already illegal in Australia. So you cannot go around beating your children with wooden spoons and belts and leaving marks, hitting their head. All right. So children absolutely do deserve the same protections against violence as adults, and they have that. So what is up for debate now in Queensland is this legal defence that if you do smack your child, you can defend yourself as using reasonable, forceful, corrective measures, they call it, or discipline. And so, yes, it is a very it heads into this grey zone, Chris, where how do we draw clear but also enforceable line between what is assault and what is, say, a tap on the hand or a slight smack. And so that's where we're at the moment. It probably surprises you to hear that I'm very against smacking children, and that's mostly because most parents who come to me don't want to be smacking their children. They're after other methods to be able to get them to comply, and I try to give them that. I think smacking comes from a very emotional and impulsive position. It's very rarely controlled. And I think it just kind of tells your child that I've lost control of the situation and now I've lost control of myself and I'm lashing out. So I don't think it actually is calm and authoritative parenting. But in a situation where we have, I think a epidemic of permissive parenting, I think we're heading down a little bit of a hard route here if we're going to be putting very well-intentioned, kind and loving parents into the criminal justice system. Yeah. I mean, as I said, I think it comes down to much more education. There are better methods to get your kids' behaviour corrected, and boy, do we need that with kids today.
Yeah, better ways to encourage them or impose other consequences. But as you say, of course, any abuse of children, physical or otherwise, is against the law anyway. So if you get rid of this defence from corporal punishment, in some ways, I suppose it just makes it easier for the lawyers, and maybe there could be abusive parents who try and use that excuse, saying it is corporal punishment, so it's easier just to say no, that's against the law. So you take out any grey area, I suppose.
Well, that's true, and that's the difficulty. As it is, I work as an expert in the family law field, and we try to fit in, what is human behaviour, emotions, psychology, relationships into law. And so here is the problem. Who's going to actually be the expert in every single one of these cases that says, no, that crosses a line, that doesn't? But at the end of the day, the Department of Communities and Justice in New South Wales and counterparts interstate, that's the point of their very highly skilled team of psychologists that come in to reports of abuse with children, and they make that risk assessment. That's their job, to be able to determine whether this child is actually the victim of assault, or whether these parents, and many a time DCJ refers parents to parenting courses and support and education, which are really helpful. So I'm a little bit on the fence, Chris, because I am anti-smacking, but I just worry that if we're sending parents left, right and centre for police reports and clogging up the system with parents who just actually don't know how to control their kids and need some assistance, we're just heading down a very dangerous path. And like you said, whilst doing maybe very little to address real cases of abuse. And we don't want to clog up our system focusing on these other parents. We've actually got kids at serious risk of assault, which has always been against the law and still is.
Great to get your insights as ever, Clare. Thanks so much.